This is my AMG GT, which I wanted to turn into a black series, but there was a big problem with that.
Because to turn my wrecked AMG GT from a standard model into a £500,000 black series, we were going to need some parts, which is why we went to Mercedes, but very quickly left again. We found out that the cost of the body kit was over £155,000. So I resorted to the next best option I could find, which was importing a replica body kit from China. So in the last video we managed to finish off getting the body kit fitted to the best of our abilities, but it still wasn't perfect and needs a lot of work. But now the car's at Flat Out Paint Shop and these guys are going to try to take it to the next level, using all the tricks up their sleeve to try and make this look just like that £500,000 black series.
But this is going to be the most challenging part, because it's all well and good fitting these panels up, but they're not perfect. So we need to try and get these panel gaps as good as they can possibly be, because even though we've got it mechanically as best we can, if it stays like this, you'll always be able to tell it's a non-genuine kit.
Which quite frankly would look rubbish, so I suppose there's no point wasting any more time, and let's get to work finishing off this Mercedes AMG GT Blue Series. And the first part to figuring out how to make this kit fit better is getting the headlights in. Now we picked up one of these brand new for the cost of £1,000, but the other side was on indefinite back order. But thankfully I managed to find one the same place as I got the crash bar from for £750. So in order to fit these, we've got to pop the bumper off, then we can pop the headlights in, and then we can pop the bumper back on and see how everything's fitting. So with the headlights now installed, we can pop the bumper back in place. And the verdict is, it's not bad, but again, it's still not perfect. So there's going to be a little bit of work to do to every single panel on this car to try and get them as good as they can possibly be. And here's how we're going to do it.
So here's the next step. We're happy the headlights fit. We want to try and finesse these panel gaps before we start building areas up, ready for paint, because there's a little bit more work to do here, but we want to make sure this is consistent. So we've marked out a 3mm gap. We're pretty good down the bottom, but need a bit of material taken out up here.
All the way down as well, isn't it? Yeah, but that's now where visually you can start to see. Not a million miles away, mate.
So after more sanding to get those gaps right, we are now done with the front end, so it can be stripped off and we can move on to other parts. So after being a thorn in the side of the guys at the paint shop, I left them to it for a couple of days and they got a hell of a lot done.
Right, a few days later and I'm back down at Flat Out. Well, I've been working on other stuff, but these guys have been hard at work because, well, you can't see it now, but they've sorted out all of the panel gaps and all the sanding, built up certain areas where it needed building up, and started now masking, ready to get this thing in primer. So, bonnet is masked off individually, so we're going to keep these sections in carbon, and these sections are going the body colour, which is how the black series actually is, so that's technically right. Over here, all the repair work's done on the doors, so all the filler work, they've attached on the arch extensions and smoothed those in, so it's as it should be. Now these came as one piece, which went down into the side skirt, and we've decided to chop it where that joins, so we should in theory be able to remove the side skirt and put it back on without causing any dramas there, which I think is the right way of doing it. Obviously all the windows have been removed, so that's ready to rock. Rear bumper is all prepped up and ready to go. I'm not going to touch it. What we got in here?
Side skirt.
Ooh. Some of these needed some repairs, isn't there? Some like chunks out and stuff, wasn't there?
Chunks out the bottom.
But looking good now, and also with the extension on this section as well. Nice. So these are going to be the first bits to be primed then, are they?
Wings, bumper, bonnet.
Nice. Sounds good. Also on the wings, even though this isn't how it would be on a black series, these are exposed carbon, so I feel like it's rude to then paint them. So we're going body colour here, leaving it carbon here. And then the front bumper is all stripped down and ready to go. You can see where the guys have had to work it back in certain areas, sort it out on the front lip here, and add a bit of extra material down here as well. Now hopefully when we bolt that back up, it should fit perfectly. This is always like the most exciting part for me, seeing it all come together, all go in one colour. Even if it's just primer, it's like, it's when it all starts to turn around and you start to see like the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm buzzing. Well, here we have it. Everything is now primered and looking pretty sick.
Oh, sorry.
Happy with it? Yeah. I mean, as happy as you can be for now.
Yeah, until we start blocking it down.
Yeah, all that hard work and you've got to sand it back down again, but everything looks relatively smooth, doesn't it? There's nothing that's like jumping out.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
I kind of like it in this colour, I can't lie.
What, Battleship Grey?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not staying, it's a get over it.
Right, let's get these bits out. Time for the car to come in.
So after a final wipe down and tack cloth, the Merc can now get the primer all over the body, covering over the repaired areas which we've done.
Well, the Merc is now in primer on the body, so that's the doors and the rear quarters covered. And the rear bumper in the booth right now, and the other panels have already been done. So now it's more sanded, unfortunately, which is exciting stuff, but it's part of the process, it's got to be done. It also highlights other areas which need a little bit more finessing, so that'll be done. And that's going to take a couple of days to do, so I'm going to pop back later in the week after the guys at Flat Out have done a bit more work, getting these ready for paint, and then we shall see some colour on this car finally. Now hopefully you guys can see how much work it is putting a crash damaged car back on the road. But the last thing you want to do when you're buying your next used car is buy one that looks like one of mine without you even knowing. And there's a super easy way of doing that. All you've got to do is type the reg of the car that you're looking at buying into Car Vertical and use discount code CHRIS, which by the way is going to save you 20%. And then Car Vertical is going to bring up every single piece of information that you'll need for when you're buying that car. Take a look at this Mercedes-AMG GT, for example. This one has a green tick for mileage and finance, but that dreaded amber warning light for accident damage. And as you scroll down, you can see exactly what damage was caused from the photos taken at the salvage auction website. And you can also see that the car's not outstanding as stolen. You can see all of the mileage data for the car, so you know the car's not been clocked or rolled back. But the key thing is that this Mercedes-AMG GTS that we're looking at was marked as a category D write-off, which is going to hurt the value, and if the seller which you're buying off hadn't disclosed that information, that could really hurt your wallet when it comes around to reselling it. But one of the key features I really like with Car Vertical is it gives you the vehicle's timeline. So from when the vehicle left the factory to present day, you can see anything that's been marked, that's been done, like reg plate changes, services, and all that sort of stuff. So to make sure you don't get done over when you're buying your next used car, make sure to go to Car Vertical and use discount code CHRIS, and that's going to save you 20%. Thank you Car Vertical for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to work. Now while the guys here are prepping to get that in its actual final paint, we need to start looking forward at what we're going to do next on the car, because the project doesn't finish when it's painted. There's still a lot more to do. So we have the guys from Wheelmania down here to try and size up and figure out what sort of wheels that we're going to go for on this car.
Because wheels can be the make or break factor when it comes to a build, in my opinion, so I want to make sure that I nail this. I don't want to go with a factory wheel, I want to do something a little bit different, and I want to make sure they fit the car and this body perfectly. That's why I've got these guys down here, and they're going to make sure that we do exactly that.
Okay, well, I forgot the locking wheel nut because I'm a doofus. Had one job. But we can make do for now because we can measure from the old standard wheel and then what that comes to on the arch, so we can figure out how much room we've got there, and also because there's so much access here we can measure how much room we've got on the back as well, which then is going to give us a gauge of how much wheel we'll be able to fit and how much width, because obviously this car isn't going to be staying standard power. We want to get as much meat on the road, as much tyre as possible, to give us as much grip so we can go as fast as possible on the racetrack. Smart. On the racetrack, yeah.
So the guys from Wheelmania take measurements from the back of the wheel to the most restricting part of the rear, and then also the same at the front, from the face of the wheel to the furthest out it can come on the arch, to make sure it doesn't rub. But we're still not sure what style of wheel we're going to go for, so we've got a couple of styles with us which we can mock up and put next to the car and see what we think.
I don't know what this. They do look good, don't they? Is that a 19? That's a 20. Does look nice. So we've got some potential options on wheels, and we now know roughly what sizes we're going to need, but there is also the option of doing something, I don't know, a bit more something, but we've just got to work it out and see if it's an option and viable, because if it is, I want to do it, so I want to make it special. So we are now possibly at the most exciting point of this build, where the car starts to get some paint on it, some paint of the right colour, and it's been a long way we've come to get the car from where it was to this point here. Now the Black Series does come with a black boot. Now I'm not the biggest fan of this, I don't love it, I don't hate it. I know Shmee painted his car completely and changed his boot to body coloured, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to keep the boot blue to go with the rest of the car rather than doing it black in the style of the Black Series. But I'm sure that all just comes down to personal preference. That's just what I like. But for now, I'm going to leave this in the capable hands of the guys at Flat Out Paint Shop and let them get this car painted in peace.
And I couldn't be more excited to see how this car turns out, because it's come so far from the salvage example which we picked up from Copart weeks ago, going through all of the drama of finding and sourcing the parts to repair it, and then also finding this body kit to make it that bit more spectacular. This is the make or break moment where this car truly gets transformed and gets its new paint job. And we can already see that all of the hard work that these guys have put into getting these panels right is paying off, because as the paint's going down, these panels look almost flawless. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this shade of blue accented with all of the carbon parts is going to suit this car perfectly. Now some parts of this paint job are quite complex, because I've had to mask off the areas which I want to keep carbon, and then also remove the masking mid-paint so they can clear coat it as one to make sure that the paint job is completely seamless.
And it's a few days later and I'm back. I haven't seen anything of the car yet, I haven't seen anything painted, and I'm super excited to see how this paint job has turned out and see how far the guys have got. So let's go and take a look. And that. Hello. Alright.
There are two close to that, it's not finished yet. No, I didn't know it was coming. Surprise.
Ooh. That looks sick.
Just done it.
Oh.
Oh.
Ooh. Oh, wow. I'm just grunting like it's just sexy. So I'll start humping it. So there's a whole bunch of carbon bits here which still need to go on, but I've also picked these up. Do you want to guess, Reagan, what these cost?
£300 each.
No. These are genuine AMG carbon door sill plates, and these have a retail price of £12.50 plus VAT each. That's ridiculous, isn't it? I managed to get these for £75 each and we've just re-clear coated them. So I'd say that is money well spent if you ask me. Well worth the saving. So.
When you asked me and you realised the phone, it was like, buy, no.
Luckily, when Ethan was picking up the parts, he seen them and then we checked the price on them and then knew what we'd get them for. So definitely a good purchase, I'd say. So yeah, that was a win. But there's still loads of that stuff to go on. So from this point now, even though the car is blue, every single piece that we add on is going to start making it look even more special and interesting. But we need to take the car in order to do something with it, which I booked in for Monday this week, which I shall show you. Because around the back, you can see the exhaust tips are in the complete wrong place, and that's no good. We don't want that. So we're going to take it to Norwich, we're going to pick it up on Saturday, take it on Monday, bring it back here the same day for these guys to finish it off. But we just want to make sure that there's going to be no dramas by, you know, running the car and melting stuff. It's just not going to be a vibe. So that's on the list of things to do. These guys are going to have some bits still here to crack on with, because obviously we're not going to drive it there, we're going to trailer it. But we're getting close, we're getting close. Everything's blue and everything's looking good. So we are down at RPM Performance with the AMG GT, and these are the same guys which manufactured the Mark 8 Golf exhaust for my Mark 8 Golf. And I was that impressed with it, I know I can trust them to make sure that this is going to be spot on. We need to get this back box, well, more accessible for a start off, then probably definitely off. So the first step is that, under trays off, let's go from there. Yeah. Go on, Ethan, you can't stop him. He's a man on a mission. Oh, yeah! That's sick. Man. That's a well nice frisbee.
And then just stick on your wall.
Oh, thank you, man. Love that. That's sick.
So it's off with all the under trays. And now we can try and see what's going to work. These guys have got some dual tips lying around which would be much easier to make, but unfortunately they just wouldn't line up correctly. It had been a lot of work to get these right. So the option was going to have to be completely manufacturing out of tips and pipe work the adapter which we need to get the exhaust in the right place, but I wanted to protect the paintwork with a bit of masking tape and then we can get started.
Whilst the guys here are figuring out what to do with these tips and how the hell they're going to do it, we're going to have to strip off some of this metal bracing underneath. We're going to need to drop this exhaust down so they can weld what they're doing onto it. So, got some bolts to waz out here.
Manual labour time.
I know, yeah, my favourite sort.
Get back.
Was this a wobbler?
Part 3.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Master Tech.
Thank you, man.
Master Tech, man. So proud of you. That's a lovely t-shirt you got on there, Chris.
Thanks, man. We've actually got some new t-shirts coming out and they're going to be released by the time this video comes out. It's the AMG GT Blue Series t-shirts, which are on screen right now. They're £35 for the t-shirts, £50 for the hoodies, and we can also get this one as well, which is
oh my god,
X3M t-shirt. Never drive something boring, so go to the link in the description to grab your Chris.slix merch. chris.slix.co.uk.
So once they've got an idea of where the tips need to go, they can start manufacturing the adapters up and how they're going to join the two together to make sure all the tips are functional. Once everything was cut and marked exactly where it needed to go, the guys at RPM could start welding these up. Now it's important, if anyone's welding near you, make sure you don't look directly into the light because this can cause permanent eye damage. But now the adapters are all welded, we can check the fitment on those and make sure the exhaust tips are going to sit just in the right place. And then complete them by welding on the 4.5-inch exhaust tips.
So here are the pieces which we've made up. We've got the new exhaust tips welded in place, and now all we need to do is drop down the back box again, get these on, weld them up, is that right? Yeah. You wouldn't believe how complex these are to make. There's some crazy shapes and positions going on, but we've got there now, so let's get these on.
So we can now get the exhaust fitted up for the final time, and here is the finished result.
Well, we're done. There's a little bit of tweaking to do at the end, but we got there eventually. So we've got we've got these 4.5-inch carbon fibre tips with like a brushed silver centre, which looks really smart, I think. I think it fits in with everything perfectly, looks smart, fills the hole nicely, and means that the exhaust gases are going to be coming out the back of the car, which is where you want them. Now, if you want to get any custom exhaust work done or get any bits off the shelf, go to RPM Performance. I'm going to leave their links in the description. So, car is back out flat out, and we've got a lot to get on with. This is the first point. So these side grills on the Black Series kit are much smaller than the grills which come on the normal GT bumper, because on the GT, the side rads which do the charge cooling are there, and on the Black Series they are here. So what we're going to have to do to help with the cooling side of things is we're going to run these brake ducts here. These are actually from a E92. They're a brake cooling duct system thing which I've now reused for this. I was going to put it on my other car, but we're going to put these from there and then run the hose towards the rads on the side, which is going to help keep the charge temperatures nice and low. Hopefully that's going to be enough. So we've got these cable tied onto the back of the grille, hiding behind the carbon. Let's have a look at this bumper now. It's fully painted and assembled. Oh my God, that looks incredible. Can't believe it. Now there's a few things which we've had to do in order to make the electric side of things work on the car. The parking sensors, we put one here, and then you've had to do some craftsmanship. Yeah. So these guys have made these carbon boxes here to house this parking sensor to make sure it's not too low where it's going to clash with the splitter or the floor, and well, there was nowhere else to mount it really. So I think that once the whole bumper's cleaned up, you'll never even tell. Nice work. Thanks. Right, should we mock this up then? Yeah. And see how the face of this car is going to look. How mega does that look? And well, I can't even see where they are. There it is. There it is. There's our cooling vent for the charge cooler side rad things. So I'd say that's a pretty nice fix to that whole scenario, presuming that gives enough cooling. But oh mate, I'm so excited. So front bumper is going on, and as you can see just here, our ducting is now going in towards the rad. So we've got that duct in there, but we've got another job to do whilst we're here, because we've got a new windscreen and a man to fit it. Boom, you right, Archie? So you've got to do some things and some stuff, and then we're going to put this glass in. Got some Mercedes genuine glass, so it's going to be genuine and good and that. So Archie can get the car prepped, ready to receive the new windscreen, and once all the bonding and adhesive is in place, I can give him a hand popping that in. Now Archie's popped in the new windscreen, we can fasten up this bumper once and for all, and then it's on to the next piece, and it's all starting to come together and getting exciting. Okay, time for the bonnets, and well, I think this has probably been one of the trickier bits to paint, I'd imagine. There was a lot of filling work to do and stuff to get it looking flat on the painted areas. Obviously, we've then masked off the carbon areas, removed the masking and clear coated the whole thing as one. Say we. I mean these guys. But now everything is on the front end, bar the bonnet, and that's going to be the piece which is going to complete the look of the front of this car. Let's get it on. And we've come so far with this car. This feels like seeing the full front end on is going to be such a big deal. And I can't wait to actually get to drive this car. But we've still got a little bit of work to go. But how epic does this look? Down she comes.
You right?
Yeah, I'm good this time.
That looks so good. Fair play, that looks sick.
Happy?
Very, very happy.
Needs to go back on.
It looks better than I ever thought it would.
Yeah?
Definitely. Now obviously the car isn't quite done yet, and also on the front end there's still the final fit up to do and the final fettle of the panel gaps, but even now it's looking a lot better than it did before. But we really can see huge progress, and I can't thank the guys at Flat Out Paint Shop enough for that, because they've worked tirelessly to get this car done. It's been so much more work than what any of us imagined, and they've really pulled through. So if you go and help them out and go and give them a follow on Instagram, it's on the screen right now. They've really worked so hard on this car. And I know it sounds a little bit corny, but this really is my dream project car. And these guys are pulling out all of the stops to make sure that it's going to be at the right standard and be as I've dreamt it to be. And genuinely, I can't thank them enough, and I can't thank you guys enough for all of the support that you've shown on this build so far. And if you're not subscribed to the channel at this point and you're still watching this video now, you probably enjoyed it, so go down there, hit that subscribe button for me. But I've still got a lot of work to do here, and we need to get it back and get it in the new unit and do the final assembly once they've finished with it here. So to see that, you guys are going to have to wait until the next video, so make sure to give this one a big like, and I'll catch you next time.